I haven't seen a land broker use data the way you do. And I walked in here thinking like, man, Josh in a lot of ways is the Bob Knakal of land in Texas.
Wow.
You know?
Wow, Josh, that's amazing.
Except he doesn't have a map room. He's got it all digital.
That's exactly right. For the last several years.
Can you show us? You can't say agency side to Timmy. You have to tell him what that means.
Agency side of a ad agency. I understand that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was for you.
Yeah.
You needed that one.
Appreciate that. Yeah. When you say entitlements in relation to land, like what are you talking about? What does that mean? This is for Timmy, by the way.
So I know Timmy, right? We found out the night before we went to city council, one of our consultants went to dinner with somebody on staff and said, look, after tomorrow night, I don't think we're going to approve any more multifamily. So we got on the docket the next night.
So you were the last group to get it?
That was it.
Wow.
You have to know people and you have to have those relationships in order to understand when the city turns the spigot on.
But like, share with us, how are you using data to grow and run your business?
Love this.
This is interesting because see what's going on around you, see what's been approved. That's what we had put together over the last couple of years.
Are you concerned about AI replacing the need for a broker?
No.
I think AI is going to supercharge the best brokers, and the best are going to get better, and they're going to be able to capture more market shares. What about those getting into the business? Nobody's teaching our kids AI. The schools aren't doing it. In fact, they're anti.
Baby boomers use ChatGPT like a search engine, while millennials often treat it as a personal advisor. College students rely on ChatGPT as a full assistant using memory features for daily tasks and decisions.
That's good, Timmy.
Yeah!
What's Thanksgiving like at y'all's house?
If you're new to commercial real estate investing, you probably know the feeling. Brokers, underwriting, raising capital, where do you even begin? And that's why CRE Investor Coach exists, to give new and emerging investors a clear step-by-step path to closing their first deal. I believe in this program so much, I actually joined the team as an adjunct faculty member. That's how committed I am to helping more people get into the space right now. Whether you want to go at your own pace with on-demand training, launch your first investment with expert coaching, or scale with a mastermind of other ambitious investors, there's a roadmap here for you. Inside, you'll learn how to define your investor identity, analyze deals with confidence, talk to brokers like a pro, raise capital, and build a real acquisition pipeline without all the guesswork. This is about building a business that blesses your life, not breaks your spirit. So if you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and actually get in the game, check out the link in the show notes and start your journey today. Learn, launch, and scale with CRE Investor Coach.
It's 11:11. Just pointing out. That's cool.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Beamer.
Hey, Beamer. Hey, Beamer. So our brother always notices that.
Yeah, our brother Beamer.
All right.
Yeah.
We ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right. Welcome to Commercially Speaking. I'm Timmy Barron, ADHD.
And I'm Bo Barron, CCIM.
And this is the commercial real estate investing podcast where my brother Bo teaches me everything about commercial real estate. He is the first of 6 kids, a CCIM instructor, owner, director of Barron Commercial Group, co-founder of Hearthstone Fund, former Arabic linguist in the Marine Corps, and I popped out left-handed and went to art school.
Yeah.
And he's teaching me everything about commercial real estate. And by the end of most of these episodes, the guest and my brother will test my learning skills with a pop quiz, which is one of my favorite things. But I have something to tell you.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless you have. So mom gave me a ride to work today. Right? She's
That's just funny on the face of it. Man.
It is so accidentally. But she's watching Birdie, my youngest, and Tara's got the car. Anyway, not to go into that, but she was like, I was listening to, you won't believe this, Timmy. I was listening with your dad to the latest episode, the one with the female. With the female. I was like, yes, Christy Candle. Yeah, she's like, yes, she was so great. But I've got to tell you, when Bo started talking about Krispy Kreme and why Krispy Kreme failed, I immediately, when he said that, put my hands down in my face. It was just like, oh.
She's doing that while she's driving?
Well, I guess Dad must have been driving because she was like, oh. Right, and she reacted that way right before you said there are 2 reasons Krispy Kreme failed.
Yeah.
She reacts that way. You go, do you know what that is? I go, definitely not our mom. She loves Krispy Kreme.
I remember that.
Yeah, and they were just laughing so much because she reacted that way right before I said it.
Okay.
Said that. Right?
That's perfect.
It was just like, just to confirm, our mom loves Krispy Kreme.
So Josh, welcome. We have a guest. Do you like Krispy Kreme?
I love Krispy Kreme. Yeah, I actually have one down the street. Try not to eat it too often. But
Nice. Krispy
absolutely.
Kreme. Well, we do have a guest. I've got a intro unless you got something
Yeah, tell us about Josh Bryan.
Okay. Today's guest knows Texas land like a sommelier knows wine. Did I say that correct?
Sommelier?
Sommelier knows wine. He can sniff out hidden value, pair properties with the right developers, and has a knack for turning dirt into dollars. For the past 17 years, Josh Bryan has helped families, investors, and developers turn land into legacy. As a partner of Bryan Haggard Land Group, he's guided everyone from family partnerships to major institutional players through some of the most strategic land deals in the region. From single family to multifamily retail to build to rent, Josh doesn't just broker deals, he helps shape communities. He's led major acquisitions for one of the biggest BTR developers in the country, and he's built his career on unlocking long-term value through strategic planning and deep market insight. With a name like Josh Bryan, you'd think he'd either be born to sing country or quote Talladega Nights. Turns out he sells Texas dirt. Please welcome Josh Bryan.
All right. I like that. That was good. You're going to have to send him.
I appreciate that, buddy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can send that to you.
You'll have to send that to Josh. He'll probably want to keep that. That was well done.
I'm going to put that on my voicemail greeting.
You got it. You got it. If you ain't first, you're last. Talladega Nights. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it once when it came out. But
Oh, yeah. He's like, Ricky Bobby, who has 2 first names?
I've lived with that all my life.
I know, right? Yeah.
2 first names. I feel bad for my kiddo. But yeah, I appreciate you having me on, guys.
No, it's good to have you on. And if I'm being honest, like land to me in commercial real estate, it's the boring part of commercial real estate. But I haven't done much of it. And so, man, we jumped on a call a couple months ago, seeing if we wanted to do this episode and if it was going to be a good fit. And I remember coming off that call thinking, man, this dude makes land cool and interesting. And so I've been really excited about this episode. And I'll steal your normal first question.
Go ahead.
But Josh, give us a feel for how'd you get to this point? How'd you get in commercial real estate in the first place? What is your origin story in commercial real estate?
Really, I grew up in Plano, just outside of Dallas. Graduated high school in 1998. I'm the only child, which is I'm a little bit different. I know how many brothers and sisters do you have, Bo?
Oh, there's 6 of us.
Yeah, 6 of us.
And my wife is like 1 of 5. It's a completely different atmosphere. But
Yeah.
I grew up as an only child. I was about all my parents could handle. But I grew up in a family that really had been in real estate for a long time. So I'm a 5th generation Planoite. Our family came from Clark County, Kentucky, back in 1856.
All right.
Bought some land, ended up being farmers. Slowly but surely, as the wind blows, you become real estate developers because all the roads start leading to your property. So I kind of grew up in that element in the 80s. And Dallas was on fire. It was a hot place to be. There was a lot of land development. Land guys were everywhere. My uncle and my dad had really been in the industry when I was growing up. So I was always kind of surrounded by a lot of good and bad things, right? Shopping centers, tenant problems, complaints, lights off we had a shopping center one time where we always drove by and saw, well, the sign's out. Nobody can see it. So we have to go call somebody and try to figure that out. But during that time, I was just kind of surrounded and being really a sponge during that whole time. So after I graduated from, high school, I went off to TCU, which is just down the street in Fort Worth. And I love TCU. We had a lot of family that went to TCU, small private school. Ended up meeting a lot of great friends, melting pot of friends. I mean, from all walks of life, right? So, my mind wasn't really on real estate at all. My mind was on being creative. Like when I was a kid, I was really concentrated on more of the art stuff. I was good at drawing. I was good at painting and things like that. And
Yeah.
I also did sports. I played football, ran track. I was not the fastest guy in the world, but I had all these things, but I was really kind of focused more on the creativity side. So Timmy,
Yeah.
voila. All right. There you go, buddy. Um, when I got out of school, I really wanted to get into advertising, and gosh, it was 2002, 2003. It was a tough economy back then. That was after the dot-com bubble and everything else. So ended up being on the agency side and worked for a group called Southwest Media Group.
Wait, you can't say agency side to Timmy. You have to tell him what that means.
Agency side of a ad agency. I understand that, right?
I was going to say, yeah, exactly. So we represented dealers on basically placing their ads.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we would work and negotiate.
That was for you, Bo. That was for you.
Yeah.
You needed that one.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Never got me. So we would negotiate with like the media, the stations and the radio stations for spots and things like that. So I got into that field, and then I figured, okay, you kind of hit a corporate ladder and you figure out, okay, well, I like more of the sales side. So I kind of flipped the coin, went over and worked for a national sales agency on selling advertising, and stayed there for about a year. And I kind of looked and had to make a choice at the end of the day was, do you go to Chicago and you sell ad space and, you live the dream there? And I kind of looked at the people that had been there for 20 years and they just weren't happy. They kind of hit a corporate ceiling. And I've always kind of been an entrepreneur by heart. I've kind of always gone my own way a little bit. I've kind of gone against the grain, if you will, maybe good or bad. So I kind of revisited swinging back around to real estate. And I never really wanted to be in real estate. It wasn't necessarily on my mind when I was a kid. I kind of wanted to go
Same for me.
Path and things like that. But I was 27. I had a choice at the end of the day. So I met with my uncle, who's a partner here at our family firm. And I sat down with him and started kind of plotting out what I wanted to do with my life. And he suggested, he said, hey, look, go interview with some home builders, go interview with some, some residential agencies, see what you like. And at the end of the day, none of those things really appealed to me. So I ended up coming back with our family company and just really started on the management side. So the leasing, management, dealing with tenants. And during that entire time, I was just basically a sponge, right? So I'd walk into these development meetings when we would sell a piece of land. We'd walk into the city of Plano and we'd sit with staff like you do, and you'd put every single consultant in that room with you. This is what my uncle did. And this is how, I didn't realize it later on, this is how I would operate my business. And you put the best people in the room possible to really be the eyes and ears for you and be your consultants on getting those land deals done, because it takes a village, man. It takes not just a broker, it takes an engineer, a land planner. You can even have an entitlement consultant. You can have attorneys. You can have all these things. Well, little did I know, I was just soaking all that up. I had no idea what I was doing. But I was just a fly on the wall at that time. So that's how I got into really the real estate business. I got my, that was back in 2007. I got my real estate license, and then boom, GFC happens, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know what good looked like. I didn't know what bad looked like. So I just kind of went through my daily routine and tried to do the best I could. And man, one of the first deals I did was an industrial deal, which was crazy, right? It was a tenant that we had that was looking to expand down the street, and they needed 12,000 feet. So I ended up tenant repping that deal, and my uncle helped me shepherd that along, and we had to build out the space and do all those things. So I learned that side of the business really from my uncle. And years down the road, about 2014, I ended up teaming up with a buddy of mine from TCU. And we partnered on some deals for, gosh, it was 5 years. We did tenant rep for franchises. We did daycare tenant rep. We, worked kind of on the corporate side a little bit. We identified land and helped one of our clients build medical office buildings, which was a great asset back then. That was one of those things, was kind of recession proof.
Yeah.
So we ended up site selection on that, build out the medical office, sell the shells. Those were nice deals. And then we'd backfill those with tenants, and then we'd, sell those on a cap, something like that. So ended up learning that. And then, to 2020 hits, fast forward, I'm married by then. And, I think it was March 12th. My wife walks in and she had a funny look on her face and said, "We're pregnant." And I was going, whoa.
Wait a second. March 12th, 2020?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
That was right when COVID hit.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like, what was the day the world shut down?
It was the day after St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, it was that week. It was that same day because
Yeah.
I think it was
we
the
went out to
16th
dinner
or
that
17th.
night, and it was like the last time we went out to dinner for a year.
Right.
And it was nuts, and my whole world changed at that point. And then you start thinking about legacy, and you start thinking about all these things about, I have this child on the way. I hadn't even met him yet, and your why gets a lot bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Start to kind of think outside yourself a little bit. Liam was on his way in November, and I had to make a decision. So I broke off from that partnership with my buddy from TCU, and I came back to the family partnership, and I wanted to create something here for the kids, for my cousin's kids, or whoever wanted it later on. So we created a brokerage tranche that focuses in on land and our family partnership, and kind of utilizes the assets they already have, and help folks buy and sell land, plan entitlements, all those types of things. So that was the intention, really, to grow it from there and to help other families be successful. Like I know, we've been so fortunate to be able to have success in life. So that's kind of where it all derived from. And this kind of crazy, slippery life from advertising all the way to real estate and back and forth. But it's been a fun road, man. It's been a joy, and just very blessed to be able to be where I'm at.
When we spoke before, I got really excited. Some of the stuff that we'll talk about here in a minute. But before we get to all that, you used a word twice already that I want you to unpack, called entitlements. When you say entitlements in relation to land, like, what are you talking about? What does that mean? This is for Timmy, by the way.
So I know Timmy, right? It's a learning process.
It's always for me. It's always for me.
When you want to go entitle a site, basically you have to go make sure that the use is going to be approved, right? So if you want to go do, a multifamily on a particular site, you got to make sure that the zoning is correct. You got to make sure that the setbacks basically from the boundary lines of where the building is, match what you need to do. You've got to make sure that utilities are spoken for and those plans are in place. You've also got to make sure that a site plan with the configurations of the building and the parking and things like that are in place and improved or approved through city council. So when we talk about entitling a site, we want to make sure that the use will be approved by city council, and there's not going to be any pushback by that. So that's kind of where we extend our services in that way. We're able to help kind of push those things through.
So each one of those things that you talked about, zoning, utilities, site plan, those would all be considered entitlements?
Yes.
Okay.
And that can take anywhere from 6 to 12 months, right?
Right.
Those can be a long, drawn out process. So,
and depending on where you live, like here in Kentucky, that's a month. Like, it would take months to do that.
Yeah.
Where Josh is in Texas, 6 to 12 months, he said. California, that can be 2 to 3 years.
Oof.
It takes, like, it really depends on where you live, how long that process is. And you've got markets that are pro-growth.
Yeah.
So, like, they want the development, they want the growth, they want the tax base, they want the services. And you've got markets that are no growth.
Right.
That don't want you to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was on a panel, or I was listening to a panel in Florida and in the Port St. Lucie area, kind of the Space Coast. And they had the planning and zoning, these things are called different places, but the economic development people from these different counties, like 4 or 5 different counties. And they were all talking about their process. Like, if I were a developer or a broker in that area, like, this would have been gold information for me.
Yeah.
Like, this is how you navigate in this county. Well, we get to this one county and the guy said, look, submit a permit. Maybe I'll look at it in the next 2 years. Maybe.
What?
Yep.
He's like, we don't want you. He just said it.
Wow.
We don't want you. We've got the highest per capita income in the United States. They like their houses. They like them spaced out. They don't want you coming in and screwing with their views. I mean, he just said all this.
Wow.
He said, you try to do something here, it's going to take forever, and we might just say no at the end of it.
Wow.
So, whoa. So it really just depends on where you live.
Right,
you know?
right.
But it's,
Yeah.
To have somebody like a Josh to help you navigate that,
Yeah.
like somebody who knows the local rules, the local customs,
Right.
you know, who you need to be really nice to, who you can lean on, who you can push, who you can, you know,
Right.
like that can be incredibly valuable.
Yeah. Where was that place that you talked to me about? I think you were looking to build self-storage or something, where the city council, I think it was, they all met on the same day.
Yeah, this was Columbia, Tennessee.
Yeah.
And Josh, what they do there is they'll only meet with you on Wednesday mornings, which really annoyed me at the beginning. I was like, what do you mean? They'll only meet with me on, and my buddy down there, he was like, no, you don't understand. Like, everybody you need to sign off on what you want to do is going to be in the room at the same time. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I was like, that sounds pretty great. And so we went and we pitched the deal we wanted to do. You know, city manager was there, city planner, the planning and zoning guy, the fire marshal, the city engineer, like everybody who ends up signing off on the plans was in the room at the same time. I was like, well, this is fantastic. Saved us a ton of time.
Totally worth it for Bo to give up his Wednesday morning me time.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
It's a big deal.
Because most of these places, they're just open. The offices are open. You walk in when it's time, and then they'll kick you to the next office, and you go across town, or you go down the block, and you're just bouncing around all these different places. But no, man, they made it easy.
Yeah. So, Josh, that's what you do a lot of.
We do. Well, we set up, it's very hyper local, right?
Yeah.
So you have to have the right team in the right submarket. So what we'll do is we'll put together consultants that really specialize in those markets, and they know staff. They know their tendencies. They know kind of what buttons to push. If you get say for instance, you get a civil engineer that doesn't know staff very well, it'll be kind of some headbutting at first. And you really don't want that to happen, because you don't want to, kind of a heavier feeling in that staff room. You want it to be more, I would say, conversational and problem solving. So what we'll do is we'll identify the market. We'll put those consultants in place that specialize in that market. And it's almost like you have a guy, right?
Yeah.
I'm never necessarily just the guy. It's the guys you surround yourself with.
Yep.
So what we'll do is when we get a listing, we'll walk into, we'll meet with staff first, really, to try to understand the dynamic of what their vision is, right? So the process goes like this. We'll go meet with staff. I'll bring my civil engineer in. We'll sit down with them. We'll look at the future land use plan. So oftentimes in Texas, on the submarkets that we really try to really target, are transitional markets. They're right outside that growth edge where, there's the markets that we're looking at right now. 5 are in the top 20 fastest growing cities in America right now. That's how fast that they're growing, but they're 40, or I would say 40,000 or under, right? Population. But some of those markets are new. Some of them are smaller. Some of them, they're understaffed. So you go in, you meet with them, you understand what the future land use plan is, because not everything is entitled, not everything is zoned. Unlike New York City, right? When Bob was on your show, he was like, hey, look, every single thing in New York is zoned. You know exactly what you can do.
Yep.
Well, in Texas, it's so much different, right? Because you have to look at, basically the comprehensive plan tells you what the city has envisioned for a particular site: commercial, residential, multifamily, whatever it might be. So you walk in, you try to cross-reference this site to what you think it might be. So we'll have like a fat pen sketch, basically a black and white sketch. Walk in and say, look, this is kind of what we're thinking for the site. What do you guys think? And really open up the dialogue from there. Not saying we're forcing this to be this way, we're going to shove this down the city. It's not that way at all. We want to be collaborative at that point. So what we'll do is we'll get city comments back. We'll go back to the drawing board. And this is a service we'll do for our clients as well. And we'll put together kind of a loose concept plan. We'll take it back to the city and say, hey, is this kind of what you envisioned for the site? Given the fact that there's roadways going through it, or, tell us any hurdles that we might, be facing in the future, something like that. And then we'll go back to the ownership and say, okay, look, now we have something tangible that we can market to a developer if we need to. And we'll take it out to market from there. But it's really it's kind of a slower process at the beginning, because you really want to get it right. Because some of these municipalities, you don't want a multifamily developer coming in and placing an offer on your site, taking up 6 months to find out they can't do it.
Yep.
I mean, they wasted pursuit costs, and then the family that you're representing, wasted time and things like that. So you really kind of want to kind of find the eel in the deal at first when you can.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we do. And I'm very lucky to be able to have guys surrounding me that can do this stuff. You just have to be the lead on it as a broker. You have to think like a developer, if you will, right? Because, what would a developer think of this? It's like you're developing the site and you're doing the kind of the heavy lifting at the beginning.
Right. Yeah, it's so smart. Like, I would think you'd walk in and be like, we're going to do this here. Let's try to convince them to do this. However, what it sounds like to you, it's like walking in, you're cross-referencing the future land use plan.
Right.
And it's almost like you're having them come up with the idea of what to do there, or at least opening up the conversation. So it's a collaborative effort. Sorry, you just said all this. I'm just saying it back to make sure I understand. But I mean, that's pretty fascinating to me.
You know what lazy brokerage would look like in that market?
What?
It would be me convincing you, the seller, the landowner, to just give me the listing. Let me just get you to sign the paper so I can put my sign up, put it online, and just see what happens. And I'm going to try to get somebody with a pulse to try to buy it. And then we're going to try to get everybody to sign off on their plan.
Right.
Which, to his point, could be a massive waste of time for everybody involved. You, the broker, the seller, the developer who's, he called it pursuit costs. Like, they're actually spending money and time trying to figure this stuff out.
Right.
And he can take a lot of that uncertainty off the table.
Right.
By doing his work in the front end. But my guess is that's a big way he differentiates himself from his competition is, man, they go to market with a plan that in some ways has a sense of approval to it.
Yeah.
Like, there's been conversations. They have researched the land use plan and zonings. And when, a lot of times when we get a new listing, especially if it's land, we'll go take a look at what this listing is. And then I'll call, my buddy runs planning and zoning. I'll call and say, look, if somebody wanted to do something else, what are the options here based on the plan use area that it is? And a lot of times it'll be something like, if they wanted to do multifamily here, which for us is R3 MF is the zone that you need for that. And it's not zoned that way. They'll say, look, our staff would have to recommend against the zoning change. But the city council could still do it, and there's a fair chance. And he'll almost give me, not exactly a roadmap, but he'll just walk me through the scenarios, which gives me the kind of information to understand who could the potential buyer be.
Yeah.
And that just saves everybody a ton of time.
Yeah. And he's walking in to talk to the city people as if you're offering a solution to their future use plan.
It's like you're on the same team.
Right.
That's the way you want to do it, as
That's
opposed to oppositional forces.
Right. Yeah.
So, Josh, you mentioned Bob Knakal, and I've been thinking about him in relation to what you do there, because I haven't seen a land broker use data the way you do. Huh. And I walked in here thinking like, man, Josh, in a lot of ways, is the Bob Knakal of land in Texas.
Wow. Wow, Josh, that's amazing.
I don't know if I go that far.
But look, but share with us, how are you using data to grow and run your business?
Love this.
So this is interesting because what we'll do now, and we've systemized this, is we've got our target markets, right? So basically the fairway that we work in is there's a highway called Highway 380. And we go north of that all the way to Sherman, Aubrey, and Pilot Point, some of these very, very high growth markets. And we'll pinpoint each market and we'll pay attention to each planning and zoning commission meeting. We'll pay attention to the permits that are being issued every month. We'll pay attention to the city council meeting notes that are issued every single month. And we'll know what approvals are on the docket for each month. And we'll calculate those and we'll map those electronically. So we'll understand what the supply looks like that's coming in for not only just now, but for years, because of the fact that when you get a multifamily permit, how long does it take to build multi? 12 to 18 months, right? To deliver a building. You look at your final plat on a single family lot. Those big master plan communities. You know exactly how many lots are going to be delivered from that date. So we want to understand exactly what's going on with supply, so we can properly market and price, our listings. And if we represent a developer, they're going to know exactly what they're getting into in each single market.
So let me ask you this though. You just mentioned like you're tracking the notes from these commission meetings, these planning and zoning meetings, or whatever they're called there. Like, give us a feel for like what kind of information do you glean from those notes?
Well, what we can do is when we go back to like some video recordings and things, we can also note what their temperature is for certain product types. And if city council is starting to veer off of, so for instance, we had a site in Anna, Texas. It's the 5th fastest growing market in the country right now. It was 64 acres. And this is kind of one of those deal stories, right? Where we had it marketed one year. We got a really good offer. We took it off the market because the guys wanted more money the next year. Said, okay, that's fine. But then we found out a neighborhood was being built behind it. And we were like, okay, well, we need to figure out this land use because it's a deep site. It's not necessarily all retail. You need to put some residential back there. So I came up with a land use plan. I presented it to staff, build to rent, multifamily. And then we had a big giant 6-lane road coming through on the future master thoroughfare plan, which the developers have to pay for.
Yep.
So that becomes a huge expense, right? And mind you, this client is 11 people with all equal shares that I'm representing.
Okay, what he just said there, it's probably siblings or family members. They're heirs, likely, right?
It's all buddies.
Oh, they're all buddies?
Oh
my gosh. Okay. It sounded like one of these heir situations where every generation, the amount of people who own a share and have to sign off on something multiply.
Oh, right.
Well, they had a broker before. They couldn't do anything with it. And it was just one of those situations where they weren't paying attention. So the EDC, the Economic Development Corporation Director, just referred us over to them to be able to help them out. So we saw this neighborhood coming around. We were like, okay, look, we need to probably get this zoned and sold as quickly as we can. And then the balance can be retail, and you'll have your upside on the price per square foot on the dirt for retail. So, basically we pushed all this through. We got on P&Z and council. It was a nightmare trying to get through everything as far as, this was right when rates started taking up really, really fast. So we had one group that had the entire 38 acres on the back end under contract. They went to investment committee. It was a build to rent group. They went to investment committee and said, look, we can't buy this whole thing. We need to split it up. And I said, well, who's going to pay for the rest of the road? Because our sellers don't want to pay for it. So I said, look, how about this? We bring in another group and we'll simultaneous close on the deal. We'll get it all zoned together and we'll simultaneous close. That group, and we end up getting zoning for it. That group drops out the day after zoning because it can't pencil. Oof. I went, oh my gosh, this deal's died 3 or 4 times. So I kind of went back to the drawing board with this build to rent group, and they plugged in. They had another guy, which I knew as well, and they plugged him in as well. And we used the same contract. We filled it in. We extended another 90 days and we got it across the goal line. So we went through literally 3 buyers, right? But we found out the night before we went to city council that one of our consultants went to dinner with somebody on staff and said, look, there's, the sentiment for the city is absolutely against multifamily. We're just never going to, after tomorrow night, I don't think we're going to approve any more multifamily. So we got on the docket the next night. And then for a year after that, nobody got approved for multifamily.
So you were the last group to get it.
That was it.
Wow.
So we had to find out, but that sentiment was starting right then. So you have to know people and you have to have those relationships in order to understand when the city turns the spigot off.
So imagine this, Timmy. If you know all that information and all of a sudden he's got, he calls somebody up, they're interested in selling their piece of dirt and that person in their mind is thinking, somebody could buy this and build a bunch of apartments. And he's like, no. That's probably not going to happen here for a while. Like he can really guide people.
Right.
And if he gets the multifamily developer who calls and says, what do you have? It's like, look, we need to steer clear of this area. They're not going to improve any more multifamily. And in fact, where he's from in Clark County, Kentucky, in Winchester, right? Was that Winchester where your family's from?
It's Clark County. That's all. Yep. That's what I know. Yeah.
So like that's on the other side of Lexington from us.
Okay.
They're getting to the point now where they're running out of infrastructure, sewage capacity for more multifamily. Ooh. So Georgetown, Kentucky already turned the spigot off for multifamily because they ran out of sewer capacity.
Literally turned the spigot off.
No more poop for them.
The poop flow has been stopped.
So there's like, you can do the work to find all this stuff out on the front end and really become an advisor to people, super valuable.
Right.
Or you can just be this, deal slam junkie that says, yeah, let's go do it. Let's figure it out. And then you figure all this stuff out on the back end. You waste everybody's time. So. It's so interesting to me, the parallel of creating a sketch, right? Or a piece of a video, right? A funny video or a movie or something, where the more you plan, we'll just say like a YouTube video, the more you plan it out, right? The better it comes together, the quicker it comes together when you do the planning on the front end. Where oftentimes I'll be like, here's a funny idea, let's turn on the camera, let's do it. And then I'm editing forever to find, the great, which I like to do, but it just takes a whole lot more time on the back end and sometimes doesn't work. So you've heard Bob Knakal talk about his map room.
Yeah.
And where he's got, every piece of property, notes on that.
Right.
Well, Josh has done the same thing. This is my personal invitation to you to take CI 102. Got 3 options for you on where in the country you might want to go. The first is Louisville, Kentucky. Like, come to Kentucky. We have created a uniquely Kentucky experience. It's going to be held in the Angel's Envy Distillery. Michael Hieronymus and I are going to teach it together there.
This is amazing.
It's going to be AI all over it in an awesome venue. I'm so excited about this. That one was September 8th through 11th. September 22nd through 25th. If you like big sky country, I'm going to teach it in Missoula, Montana.
Ooh.
I'm so excited, especially go out there in the fall. And at the end of that course, Maddie is going to join me, and we're going to go fly fishing for a couple days up there afterwards. If you like cowboy country, like come up to Missoula September 22nd through 25th. But if none of that sounds good to you and you prefer Miami, October 20th through 23rd.
Nice.
102 in Miami. And so if you want to really get good at some of the stuff we talk about here on the show with market analysis, learning site to do business, get some introductions, some AI tools and how they apply to commercial real estate, love to have you join us there.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. You get Bo's autograph, meet him face to face.
No.
Yeah, this is an opportunity to meet your hero.
All right, dial it back a bit, man. Well, Josh has done the same thing for the markets with every parcel. Except he doesn't have a map room. He's got it all digital.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Isn't that correct?
That's exactly right. For the last several years.
Can you show us?
So let me see if I can.
Oh, there it is. Yay.
Like here's the deal that I just talked about. And I've got links to the site plans. I've got who the consultant was, who the lead contact is. Here's a storage deal. Just everything. That's a multifamily deal, actually. Just everything that you would need to know about every intersection in the market.
Wow.
So talk us through.
And it's got dates through when everything was submitted.
Wow.
And platted. So yeah. That's kind of where that had derived. And the idea came from Bob.
Yeah. Yeah. So what we're seeing here is like all those little purple spots and all those little aqua colors. Those are all, you click on that and you get all this information.
You do. And I've got it color coded. So, the blue is going to be single family. The purple is going to be, commercial. The orange will be multi.
So if someone comes to you and is like, hey, I've got this piece of land here. So walk me through how you would use this map in that situation, right?
Well, say we wanted to sell this site here. We would want to understand what's going on here, here, what's been presented here. This is JPI's deal for, multifamily. Do we want to know what's going on behind us? Do we want to know what the supply looks like on behind us? Things like that is what we really need to understand. Is there any roadways? Sometimes we'll have a note where there's actually, let's see, right here. There was one where there's actually a roadway. That's a replat for the easements. Yeah. So, I mean, what you can really understand as an overall market is to see what's going on around you, see what's been approved, see what the supply looks like so you can properly price your site. Because if you don't know what the supply looks like, you don't know what's coming online, then you can misguide buyers, and that might even blow up in your face after it's all said and done because it's not going to underwrite.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But that's exactly kind of what that's what we had put together over the last couple of years.
Well, I have to say this real quick.
Yeah.
If you're listening on Spotify or Apple, this might be one of those episodes where it's worth you going over to YouTube, because what Josh is showing us right now is this map and all the detail that he has plugged into this. So I'd encourage you to go over to YouTube on this one. You're gonna get a lot more value from seeing what he's doing. But break this down for us. Like,
you can watch this on Spotify too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but go ahead.
What application are you using to create this map?
Oh, this is just Google. This is just Google Maps.
Wow.
This is just in Workplace.
Yeah. Okay.
So how do you get the information in there? Like, talk me through the workflow.
Oh, I have a VA do this. And I have outsourced this to somebody to be able to go through each single agenda. Now I am putting together a chat GPT, I would say a GPT, to be able to scrape all the information possible.
Yep.
And then formulate that into I would say a Google sheet, and then take that Google sheet and do it that way too, and just give it to the VA. But right now the VA is going through entirely and doing this on his own.
That's amazing.
And he's a GIS specialist. Like, he's, based in the Philippines. He is a GIS guy, and he helps me, put all this together. This is just 2 markets right now. But yeah, I mean, it holds so much value when you can understand the market this way.
Did you find your VA through Superpowers HQ?
No,
Oh,
no, I didn't.
Okay.
But I know that Alice.
Yeah, Alice.
Uh-huh.
Alice is with us right now.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Hey,
From
Alice.
the Philippines.
Hey.
Hey!
Hi, Alice. We typically get a bye from Alice, but we got a hey.
Yeah.
That's nice. This is a good episode.
Yeah.
I was actually going to ask you about that. With all this, when you're in the business of data, getting data, and then wanting to store it and use it, like, there's no better time than right now to be like a data specialist, as it were, for lack of a better term, than right now, because of what AI specialty is going through and doing that data, right? So,
and it sounds like what you're using is agentic AI. Is that kind of like an agent that actually goes out and gets it for you, kind of thing?
I've tried that. So I upgraded ChatGPT to the $200 a month, whatever it was, and I tried to have the agent do it, and it kind of had some kinks in there. So what I've done is just, basically taken a PDF and then tried to simulate it that way through, data scrapers and things like that. And it's worked a little bit, but having a human do it right now it's a little bit more efficient. It doesn't skip as much, but I'm just trying to, I would say, finalize what the prompt or the instructions to be able to do that. But man, it's a game changer, because I can grab anything from anywhere. I can research, any planning and zoning agenda item and figure out what's being proposed, what districts they're going to put on it, roadways, things like that. So it does help on a weekly basis.
yeah, wow, that's cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here trying to think, like, if we did something like that here,
Yeah,
what would it look like?
yeah, right.
But just going back and getting basically the minutes from all the planning and zoning meetings for the last 5 years.
Right.
Overlaying the comprehensive plan, which I'm sure is in GIS form that I could get my hands on somehow, and just being able to click on any parcel and see what's up with it.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty slick.
Yeah.
And what's pretty cool is when you're driving, you can pull that up on, you get your cell phone, right? You can pull that up on your cell phone and you can be like, okay, I'm at an intersection. What's been going on with this intersection the last 2 years, 3 years? What's been proposed here? What does that site plan look like? And you can literally click on it.
Wow.
And then you can pull that up for things that are under construction. So when a client calls and says, hey, I need to know what that site looks like across the street, you can literally be driving and go, okay, look, I've got everything in the last 3 years, 4 years of this record of what's happening in this intersection.
Yeah.
So it's just time, right? It takes time to be able to go fetch that data.
Right.
But if you have it, you can be that much more valuable. Right?
Yeah, that's so true. You're prepared. You're prepared.
Can you imagine somebody calling him up and getting that information right off the bat?
Yeah.
And then calling somebody else up that says, oh, you know what? I'm driving right now. When I get back to the office, give me about 30 minutes. I'll look it up and I'll give you a call back. And so one guy's just got it at the fingertips. The other guy has to go research this stuff and probably won't have near the amount of data that Josh has. We haven't heard Michael giving us the So that's, and I really love how you're using the data. I think that's a picture of what is going to be fairly normal for the best brokers, maybe even just 2 or 3 years from now. Because AI is going to make this way more efficient to go grab. You know, we were having this conversation yesterday, me and my buddy Michael Hieronymus on Renee Nelson's podcast.
Michael Hieronymus.
There's Michael right there. And we were talking about and I'd be interested to get your take on this, Josh. But with the advances in AI, are you concerned about AI replacing the need for a broker?
No. You have to know the nuances of a deal, personality of a deal, nuances of staff. You have to put the right consultants in the room. You have to be more of let's be honest, you have to be more of a consultant at that point. You're a specialist, you're a consultant. Now, does AI going to replace anybody? I don't think so. I think it just adds fuel and gasoline to what we do. Do I need as many people as I once did when I was 20, to start a business? No. You only need a handful of people. And AI just puts gasoline into that. So
yeah, I'm real interested to see if this scenario plays out, because you don't need as many people to grow. You don't. I think AI is going to supercharge the best brokers, and the best are going to get better, and they're going to be able to capture more market share. So more deals are going to be done by fewer brokers, which is going to leave the least of these out in the cold. They're going to go start selling insurance or something else. Like it's, I don't think we're going to need as many brokers. Now, the other thing that Michael brought up, or maybe it was Renee yesterday, which I thought was really interesting, was what about those getting into the business? Like there's not as much of a need for them anymore. And there's potentially going to be this experience gap between those who are experienced now. You add AI for those of us who are going to adopt and utilize AI to a good potential. We should continue to grow and pick up market share and stuff like that. But we don't need the juniors anymore because we have AI doing a lot of that work.
Right.
And so juniors are going to have less of an opportunity to have the senior person helping them learn the business.
Oh, right.
And so it's going to be incumbent upon the junior coming into the industry to figure out how to make themselves invaluable so that somebody with experience wants to take them on.
Right.
Like they're really going to have to sell themselves. And this may be the case as early as like just 2 to 3 years from now.
Right. It reminds me of when social media, when that came out, and the importance now of when using social media, right? And you've got these young kids where it's second nature to them. So they're getting hired because they're really good at this. I can see that similar with, hey, I'm hiring this junior because he's been talking to AI since he was 10.
Well, guess what?
What?
Nobody's teaching our kids AI. The schools aren't doing it. In fact, they're anti-AI.
Yeah.
I'm teaching my kids how to use ChatGPT and Perplexity and or Notebook LM and some of these other, Gamma's my new favorite thing. Like I'm going to show them how to do all that stuff. The schools don't want them to do it because they're worried about plagiarism, as opposed to teaching them how to take this awesome new tool and helping them be better, faster.
Right.
Which is exactly what business needs them to do. And so I think we'll have a generation at some point who always had AI.
Yes.
Kind of like our kids have always had
internet,
smartphones, that kind of thing. I mean, my kids were picking up a smartphone at age 3 and just
knew how to.
3 minutes later, they're using the dang thing. It was just so intuitive.
Right.
I think we're going to have a generation of kids who have always had AI. It's just been part of their lives from the jump, and they're going to get it. But there's a gap there, and our kids are in that gap. Like the schools, man, are, in my opinion, really dropping the ball.
Yeah.
They need to be helping our children become more and more valuable by becoming well adept at using AI. Because companies are going to want to hire those people. So like juniors coming in, and if somebody walked in today and said, look, I'm all over this AI stuff. I'm incredibly good at it. Guys like me, and I dig the AI stuff, but I don't want to figure it out. And I actually don't want to do it much.
Yeah.
I just want to utilize it in my business. And for most of us in the industry, that means somebody between me and that technology.
Right.
And so,
yeah.
Anyway, it was an interesting conversation.
That's true. It made me think of this. I don't know if y'all heard this. I think it was Sam Altman. Altman. I saw a video of him saying this: baby boomers use ChatGPT like a search engine, while millennials often treat it, I can attest that this is true, often treat it as a personal advisor. And college students rely on ChatGPT as a full assistant using memory features for daily tasks and decisions. Right? So there is already in the data of these different generations and how they're using it, which all makes sense to me.
Yeah,
right?
Totally.
So it's like, yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Well, now that we're fixing to put Liam in preschool.
Yeah.
He's fixing to turn 5, and we're going to put him in preschool, and they have a school down the street, and they're teaching him code in 1st grade.
Wow.
Like, what?
Wow.
I mean, he's going to be far, far ahead of anything that I can even dream of.
Right.
I mean, he was learning how to use a phone he knew how to swipe pictures when he was like 2, he's sitting there.
Yeah.
I mean, they just pick up on stuff so fast, which is scary, right? But at the same time, I'm going, wow, they're going to be so much further advanced. I just want to make sure that their communication skills are there. That's why I think that if you can combine communication skills with AI, that's going to be completely unstoppable.
Yeah. Yep.
So
you need to make him your intern at like age 12.
You could.
Oh yeah, we already look around. He already knows what a multifamily building is. He already knows what he calls it a food building with a drive-through.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
Like I'm taking him to school in the morning, and he knows what different types of real estate. My wife looks at me and she just rolls her eyes. So I'm going, hey, you're gonna learn it early.
He'll do it. He'll get it, and he will not appreciate it until he's way older. I bet.
Maybe so.
Just like.
But the next time your wife rolls her eyes, just suggest to her gently that this is the kid that's going to be taking care of us when we're older. So
after he's going to take. It's all good.
Did you say Liam is turning 5, or he's already turned 5?
No, he'll be 5 this year.
All right, that's amazing. Because 5 years old, that is the year where they start to really comprehend what daddy does on a whole new level, right? And then you can really see their personality or interest coming out. What are you seeing in Liam right now, as far as what's he really into?
He's into cars.
Yeah.
He's into destruction. We live in a cul-de-sac, right? So he's got a little friend across the street, so they ride bikes together.
Nice.
And it's like how we grew up, right? I mean, we don't have to worry about cars passing by all the time. They go outside and play and get dirty, and he's got cuts all over his legs. And every time I drop him off at daycare, I'm like, he's a rough kid, man.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just fun watching him grow that way. Just being a boy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't sit in front of the television all the time. We try not to do that with him, just to try to get outside and play.
Yeah.
That's the coolest thing.
Well, Josh, you want to give Timmy a pop quiz?
Yeah, we can. Let me see
Yeah!
if
All right, pop quiz.
Ignition sequence starts.
All right, well, Josh, this is how we do this. You've probably seen it before, but if you haven't, we're going to ask Timmy 5 questions. As our special guest today, you get to ask question 1, question 3, and question 5. And here's the rules. You can ask him anything. You can ask him anything about what we've covered today regarding land, your market, any of that stuff, or you can absolutely try to stump Timmy. I've been watching him. He's been taking notes over there, and so this is often I'm very pleasantly surprised at what Timmy's able to get right.
There's 103 episodes in, baby.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah,
All right,
so
so
every time.
Question 1.
Timmy, what is a plan that is presented to the city with buildings and parking on it? Just to simplify it. What is that plan called?
Future land use plan? No. Hold on. Will you ask me one more time?
What is the plan that is presented to the city with both buildings and parking on it?
Oh, man. An entitlement? No. What is it?
It's a site plan.
It's a site plan.
Oh my gosh. A site plan. A site plan. Okay. You know, we haven't done land much. Right?
No. We hadn't talked much about that.
Yeah,
So.
and in development too, we've done a little bit. So I think I'm not as confident when it comes to this. I should have known that.
Okay.
Should have
Now,
known that.
if you get this question, I quit.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'm done.
I'll start teaching you.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, this is not the question, but do you remember where Josh went to college?
UTC.
A little
UCT.
the other
No,
way.
TCU.
TCU. There you go.
TCU.
Yeah.
Yes.
One box, baby.
Whoop, whoop.
Love it.
Now, TCU was in the national championship football game 3 years ago. Georgia beat them. Okay. And then last year, they had a very high profile game to kick off the season with a very, very famous coach at his first year at the opposing school. Okay. And this year, same scenario.
Yeah.
They have their first game, super high profile, against a very, very famous coach
Yes.
at his first year at that opposing school.
Yes.
All right, so last year and this year, they have these high-profile games, first game of the season, against these super famous coaches at their first year.
Yeah.
Who are the two coaches?
The news coach is the guy who coached the Patriots and has got that super young girlfriend right now. Right? Is that right?
That is
That's-
correct.
okay.
I'm blown away that I'm halfway to quitting.
Yep.
What's his name?
He's very much in pop culture. Could you give me initials?
BB.
Belichick. I'm surprised I know this.
Okay, now my ace in the hole is you actually have to tell me
The other one?
The other one.
Yeah, the other one. Wow. I think Belichick was the. Unless the other one's been in the news and pop culture because he's got a super young girlfriend. And I don't know if I'll know it.
Great. I can continue doing this. Deion Sanders
Oh, yeah.
was the other one at Colorado.
Deion Sanders. I just needed a second, actually, because I knew that.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
glad
I
we wrapped that up.
I'm
Okay.
glad you had
Holy
to bring
moly.
up that Colorado game and the Georgia game. I went to that game at the national championship. It was great up until kickoff.
It was great until kickoff.
So much fun right up until the game started.
Hey, look, I'm a Kentucky fan. I've been crushed by Georgia. Actually, UK plays Georgia really well. We don't ever beat them, but the last number of years we've given them really, really good games. But
You'll do, man. We didn't give them a game at all. That was terrible. We beat Michigan. It was great.
yeah, I like it when Michigan loses. I like it a lot.
I like it a lot. Yeah.
All right, Josh. Question 3.
What is the? Let me see.
Future land use plan.
That's good, Timmy.
Yeah.
What final vote does a developer need in order to get their zoning approved?
As in who's voting?
Right. Who's voting?
The city council.
Boom.
All right.
What a boom.
But boom, boom. All right.
Very, very good.
And there's still a chance for a 3 out of 5, maybe. I can't believe I got Bill a check. Can you believe that?
No, I'm blown away.
So that's a half point, I guess.
Yeah, we'll give you a half a point for that.
Yeah, okay. I'm blown away too.
All right. Question 4. Question 4. And I kind of I had question 4 lined out before, but I already brought it up.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
But I'll go ahead and ask it again.
Okay.
Maybe you weren't paying attention.
Maybe I wasn't.
What city is in Clark County, Kentucky? Nice.
Westertonville.
Think rifle.
Chestertonville. Chesterton.
Chestertonfieldville.
Chestertonfieldville.
Deeds.
That's right. That's the only reason I'm remembering that. Because
Winchester.
Winchester. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the first thing I said? What? Westertonville. Chestertonville. Winchestertonville. Philville.
Yeah.
That's the only reason it was there, because of Mr. Deeds. When it was said, I thought about it.
Okay.
All right.
Josh, question 5.
This is a good one. What was my first job out of college?
You worked at an ad agency, I believe. Yeah, but I don't think you started in. Maybe was it sales?
It was the agency side on media buying.
Yes, media buying.
And for extra credit,
yeah,
what year?
2007. Wait, no, 2007 is when you moved into real estate, I think. 2000. It was the 2001, around the .com bubble. Is that right?
It was 2003.
2003.
Close.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
That was just a bonus.
That's a good bonus. That's all right.
All right.
I like your little day.
We didn't clarify whether I got a point for Winchester, and that's fine. That's fine. I feel good about this one.
What kind of hotel is this?
Did he just jump to Tommy Boy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it. No, I don't know. Just
That guy in a little coat.
Yeah. In a little coat. Take it off, dickhead. I'm serious. Oh, Richard, what's happening? Oh, what's his name, buddy?
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a pretty girl down there.
This could go on for days.
Yeah. Does that?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Does this tie make me look fat? No. Your face does. Hey, you're driving along. Here comes the meat wagon. Woo. Got a kid in the back going, Daddy, when we're going to get there? Not now, damn it.
That's going to leave a mark.
Not so much here.
That's just enough
here.
here.
Right.
Right here.
Nope. Ship.
What happened to your face?
I knew it. Why don't you do what you did there with the chicken wings? Well,
that's
fine.
awesome.
If they said no, we got that meat lover's pizza in the fridge or in the trunk.
Oh, Richard.
Yeah, you can't latch the hood too well if you can't take the can out, selling waste of space. I swear to God, you're worthless. Don't call me worthless. I use 10W40.
What's Thanksgiving like at y'all's house?
Oh.
It's a small explosion of energy and excitement and activity and
wonderfulness.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
We've actually got another brother who's a Southwest pilot and a listener of the show. Jay, we're talking about you.
Shout out to Jay,
who communicates best when he's quoting movies and TV shows.
Oh, big time.
That's my dad.
Like, he can put us to shame.
That's your dad?
My dad does that constantly because he was the biggest Rocky fan you've ever seen in your life.
Oh, nice.
So, 1976. When did Rocky come out?
76 or 7, I think.
Was it not before that?
He was
Right
running
about
when
the time I was
kid.
born.
And everything is always, to try to pump you up, is always a Rocky quote, right? So,
Adrian!
heard of that constantly. Oh, man.
Adrian!
Yo, Adrian. Yeah.
Adrian!
It's a fighter. That's what I am. That's what you married. What was your favorite movie, Timmy?
What was or what is?
What is your favorite movie?
My favorite movie now, it switches, of course. For most of my life, my favorite movie was Good Morning Vietnam. My top movie right now is Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder.
Oh, I love it. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love. You haven't seen Tropic Thunder? That is my favorite movie for many reasons. I just think it's just so well done. And like for Robert Downey Jr. to be able to pull off blackface, which he did.
Yeah.
And for, a whole race of people to love it, and they did everything right in that movie, in my opinion, as far as.
Was that after Downey Jr. got out of his, I think he went to jail for a while, right? And then he got out.
Yeah.
And then he became like superstar, part of the Marvel.
So so Tropic Thunder and Iron Man were coming out around the same time. Yeah. So he hadn't made his comeback yet. And so Iron Man came out and it was huge. And of course he was that. And he got a Best Supporting Actor Oscar nomination for that role.
That's insane.
Isn't that insane?
That's insane.
It's insane.
Downey Jr. is awesome. Like
he is.
It's a great comeback story, man.
Yeah. And the reason he was able to get away with blackface in this, by the way, is because the joke was on the character he was playing. Like the joke was this very self-serious Oscar-winning actor thinking he could play any role and do anything, right? That was the joke. The joke wasn't on, the blackface itself, right? Or African-American culture. The joke was the character he was playing. That's a little nerdiness to comedy writing and, punching up rather than punching down, and why some things work when some people can do it and other people are just like, just don't get it. Like Meghan Markle.
You're right, man. She does not get it.
She does not get it. No.
Oh my gosh.
How did we twist that in there?
I have no idea. I'm really proud of the reaction I got from Bo. Hey, Josh, why don't you tell all of our listeners where they can find you or anything you want to share to let them know.
Just go to brianhaggardland.com or just search for me on LinkedIn.
Spell that for us.
You there? Yeah.
Brian, you said it fast, so it's Brian.
brianhaggardland.com. So it's BRYAN HAGGARD.
Okay.
LAND.com.
Got it.
Love it. Love it. And I did see
I felt like I was in a spelling bee for a hot minute. Like I was just
Brian Haggardland. BRYANHAGGARDLAND.com. BrianHaggardland.com.
Yeah. You forgot to ask for it to be used in a sentence.
Yeah, can you please use that in a sentence?
What is the etymology?
Yeah.
But anyway.
Can I get the origin? The language origin. All right, sweet. Is there anything else you want to tell the listeners that we got coming up or anything at the moment?
No.
All right, great. Well, we did talk a little bit about virtual assistants.
We did.
Right? We talk about it a lot. We already heard from Alice already. We'll hear her say goodbye in just a little bit. If you want one, and if you want to eliminate the suck, you can go to Superpowers HQ at superpowershq.com/commercially speaking.
Lots of commercial real estate professionals are going to Superpowers to get EAs.
Yeah.
Which is great. I love that.
Yeah.
Enough to the point that Alice is helping Superpowers create a course to train EAs specifically for commercial real estate.
How about that?
Or in other words, like she's going to be helping them do for me do for their entrepreneurs what Alice does for us here.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. And
Which is really cool.
They walk you through the whole process and show you exactly how to communicate with them. And so for those in the back, superpowershq.com/commercially speaking. Leave us a comment on YouTube. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Share this with other people that you think would love it. And you can find us on social media at Commercially Speaking, pretty much everywhere. On X at COM Speak Pod. And we've got a newsletter every single Thursday. Subscribe.wgbaron.com.
Yeah, man.
Love you, brother.
Love you, man. Josh, thanks so much for coming on.
Appreciate it, guys.
And
We'll see you all next Monday. Bye, Alice.
bye, Alice.
Bye, Alice.
Bye.
Hey!
Woohoo.
You guys are a riot, man.